Tyler Huggins.
This is the trace jaw.
Is a second-generation locksmith.
I'm gonna turn the machine on.
He knows copying keys doesn't require cutting-edge technology. That is, until now.
The opportunity is there.
New smartphone apps let you duplicate a key just by taking 2 quick pics. The images are uploaded to a cyber locksmith, and in a few days, the new key arrives in the mail.
There's that possible security risk. It's not likely, not in my opinion, but it is there.
It's there each time your keys are out of sight. When you get your oil changed, go to a full-service car wash, or hand your keys to a valet. So we decided to test whether taking a couple of quick, discreet pictures could put a home at risk. In the KI newsroom, I spotted 5 sets of keys on desks. When producer Stormy O'Donnell headed to the afternoon meeting, I snapped 2 photos of her house key, front and back. The pictures were easily uploaded to keysduplicated.com. It didn't take long to get an email saying the photos were good and the key could be cut. Keep in mind, this house key isn't mine, but with 2 photos and $6, a duplicate soon could be.
We have some security measures in place.
Jordan Meyer is the co-founder of keysduplicated.com.
Have you ever turned somebody down for keys?
Yep.
From California, he gave us a rundown of their warning signs.
If the image looks manipulated in any way, if it looks like it was taken from afar and zoomed in, if it looks like it was kind of, blurry walk-by shot.
Customers also have to use a credit card and enter a billing address.
We don't think it's a big threat.
But we wanted to find out what Stormy thinks after I let myself inside her apartment. Now, she knows we're coming.
But she was expecting a knock on the door, not this.
Did you have your door locked?
Yes, my door was locked. I knew you guys were going to do this, but I didn't know when. That's crazy.
We didn't really know if it would work. It was a perfect fit.
That is insane. That's concerning for anyone. Don't leave your keys on your desk.
Advice echoed by the people who make this process possible.
Just don't leave your keys lying around, just like you wouldn't leave your credit card lying around.
Especially when stealing your keys now only requires 2 clicks and a little cash. Betty Cross, KITV News.
20 feet right here.
No one knows Lake Travis
More of the land is showing.
better than Deputy Alberto Luno.
I've never seen it this low before.
For 2 years,
All this right here should be underwater,
he and his partner have watched the lake shrink,
and it's dropping every day.
revealing what was deep underwater
There's some big stumps.
is now high and dry.
Right where the tree line is, that's where the water level should be. None of that white rock should be showing at the island.
It's the worst that most of us have ever seen it.
Tom Harrison should be treading water right here. Instead,
5 foot of water just being gone from evaporation,
he has a plan to keep the sun from stealing.
65 inches a year. In 2011, we lost more water to evaporation off the Highland Lakes than the city of Austin used.
The water-saving idea
So it's a powder.
is almost ridiculously simple.
It looks a lot like talcum powder.
Mix the food-grade lime
It's a little dusty sometimes.
with palm oil extract, and then put a thin layer between the water and the sun.
Anytime you can put one molecule between the water and the atmosphere, you can keep the evaporation down.
Skeptics and the rest of this parched state
2 more.
are keeping a close eye on a product test underway at Lake Arrowhead. Workers are up with the sun, preparing thousands of pounds of water saver for a first-of-its-size experiment near Wichita Falls. The lake is only about 20% full, but it still takes several hours to suck up the powder, add water, and then spew the milky mixture over Lake Arrowhead. Once it spreads, it's almost invisible. But look closely at the right side of your screen. You'll see a curved path of slightly smoother, shinier water.
We're intrigued.
Robert Mace is with the Texas Water Development Board.
Our role is to see if we can see its impact.
Wichita Falls is more than halfway through the $400,000 2-month test. The Water Development Board will analyze the results and see if applying this powder every 3 days can slow evaporation by around 30%.
Unquestionably, that technology works on pools.
But a large, windy lake is a tougher challenge.
Everybody's going to wait on the results.
In the meantime, More barrels are headed for the water, trying to prove the patented powder can help solve a Texas-sized water problem.
All eyes are on Lake Arrowhead right now.
Betty Cross, KITV News.
It hasn't been maintained.
Michael Perez
I find it confusing.
has a $511 problem.
I'm really hot under the collar about it.
The trouble started a few Saturdays ago,
It's raining. I said, let's get going.
and it's late at night. Michael couldn't believe his good luck when he snagged this parking space on one of the busiest streets in downtown Austin.
There's no sign in front of it. There's nothing painted on the deck of the parking space. No paint on the curb. No striping. Nothing to indicate you're coming into a handicap location.
Unless you look to the left at the sign in front of the space right next to where Michael parked.
If you're coming at night, this is kind of half missing here, you know. It kind of looks like it's just this one that might be a spot.
So is it one handicap space
You can see right here where it's been removed.
or two? The city of Austin had an expensive answer.
It's a $511 fine. I plan on taking it to court with photos and asking for a complete dismissal.
Michael says he's seen the sign send a lot of drivers in the wrong direction. So from noon to 1, we monitored the space at the intersection of Congress Avenue and 4th Street to see how many others were pulled in.
I thought I was lucky, but I'm not.
I didn't see the sign, which is right there, but I didn't see it.
It's kind of hard to tell. It's not marked as a handicap spot at all.
I am not in a handicap spot.
We gave the final say to accessible parking expert Mac Marsh.
It needs to be better and more clearly marked.
Here's why there's so much confusion. Many drivers think an accessible parking space should have a sign in front of each space, painted curbs, and the international symbol of accessibility painted on the pavement. But we checked the law, and this are not required.
The sign is required. The painting is a bonus.
Where does the city stand?
We're not here to entrap people.
In fact, Gordon Durr with Austin's Transportation Department says what drivers think is a pair of parking spaces is actually supposed to be a single van accessible space. But there's no van accessible sign, which is required.
We're cleaning that up to make sure it's clear.
The one thing Michael says has always been clear is how much he's expected to pay.
That's our cell phone bill, that's our water and auto insurance for 1 month.
Michael goes to court in October. His chance to back out of this parking problem.
When it's not clearly marked for a $511 ticket, something's wrong. Something's very, very wrong.
Betty Cross, KITV News.
That is a sound you never want to hear. A trailer disconnects and really becomes a danger to everyone around it.
It happens too often in Texas, and in tonight's cover story, Betty Cross shows us the consequences of not hooking up a trailer safely.
1 year ago,
Amigas, papa guisadas y frijoles, queso blanco. Yeah.
on a day much like this one,
Decaf.
Oscar Ocampo had the worst moment of his life.
I was scared. I was shaking and trembling.
The lunch rush was over.
Amigas, with queso.
The restaurant was quieting down. And then
All I heard was, a big bang, and then I see people at my feet.
a cattle trailer unhitched from a truck
One of the waitresses, is yelling for help.
smashed through a wall of the Southeast Austin restaurant
It went like halfway inside the building.
and trapped a waitress between the trailer and a table.
It made me tear up when, I seen her in pain like that. She's a good friend. And she was a good worker too, and now she can't really, she doesn't really want to work because of like the injuries and stuff, so that's kind of sad.
The pain is both emotional,
The sound of the crash was very loud.
and physical for Laura Medina. Mariana's Kitchen has just reopened in a new location, making it easier for the former waitress to come here and talk about the thick scars on her arms and legs.
I had cuts and blood all over me. I didn't know what was happening.
The hardest part for Laura is knowing the accident was completely avoidable. According to this police report, the trailer was not properly secured with safety chains. A few bumps in the road was all it took to shake the hitch loose and send the cattle trailer careening down Burleson Road.
Everybody start rolling. Let's do this.
Dan Longuinette is an auto expert
It's not going to come off.
who agreed to help demonstrate how critical the chains are to your safety.
55.
On the first run, the safety chains are attached, but the pin is pulled. Even with no pin, the chains keep the trailer connected. Now watch what happens with no pin, no chains, and the SUV's speed is pushed to 55 miles per hour.
There's 55 right there.
2,200 pounds is now flying down the road with no driver. The trailer is out of control, and no one knows who or what it will hit.
It is fairly rare,
Ron Thayer spent his career reconstructing accidents.
but they do happen, and when they do, they can be very traumatic. You're potentially looking at a head-on collision.
Go that way just a little.
Clark Jackson at Spiller Hitches says 2 simple steps will keep you safe. First, the pin.
Put this through. If it doesn't go all the way through, it's not properly latched.
Then, attach 2 safety chains from your trailer to the truck.
You need to make sure they're crossed. It creates a cradle for the coupler to fall into so that it doesn't drag the ground and it keeps it secured to the vehicle, not going down the highway.
At Mariana's Kitchen, Oscar says everything only looks like it's back to normal. While his mom's recipes haven't changed, his outlook certainly has.
It was an eye-opener. You don't know what can happen, any second.
It happens so fast and it is so easy to prevent. So one last thing to remember, this ball that you have on the back of your car or truck, it has to be the same size as the coupler that comes up over it. There are 3 different sizes, so if you make sure they match, you're good to go. And the bottom line of all this, the pin we showed you in the story, it cost $5. These safety chains, they run about $20. So for $25, you and everyone on the road around you can be a lot safer. Reporting live in North Austin, Betty Cross, KITV News.
Betty, that was dramatic video. We saw the victim and heard from her, but what about the guy towing the cattle trailer? Whatever happened to him?
Well, Austin police cited him for 2 things. One, failing to safely secure his load or the trailer. Basically, he didn't have these safety chains. He was also cited for having an expired inspection sticker. The total cost of his 2 fines, $358.
All right.
Thank you, Betty.
This robot is Gemini Scout.
It's a rugged first responder that's stronger than a mule
So I just scouted all of this out.
and has the ability to boldly go where no man really should.
How often have you seen something in Star Trek, right? And think, oh, that'll never happen, and then it does.
This 190-pound prototype
We have a radiation source out there,
is part of a training exercise
and we're trying to pinpoint it.
at Texas A&M's Disaster City.
My highest readings were along that tree line,
People keep their distance,
straight ahead of us.
while this 2x4 contraption digs in to do the dirty work.
Put a robot in harm's way instead of a person.
Gemini Scout is specifically designed
Color, pan tilt, camera, thermal imaging.
to help rescue people trapped in a mine, but it could be adapted to respond to terrorist attacks and natural disasters.
Real applications, not just can we design it, but who's going to need it?
These are running about 60 to 70,000.
Dr. Robin Murphy
We can bring out lots of robots.
is helping fire departments across Central Texas
Usually if anything goes wrong, you just let go because it's smarter than you are.
learn how to marry technology with need.
Enable GPS, enable return to home.
For her team, the sky's the limit
I'm gonna go up to 60.
when it comes to covering every angle of an emergency.
Unmanned aerial systems are just one part of what we call a robot revolution.
Start recording.
The Air robot is equipped with a high-resolution camera that gives firefighters immediate eyes
Wind's coming this way, it's about 5.
whenever there's a call for help.
You're going to see them for structure fires, see them for wilderness search and rescue. Within 5 years, that if you see a disaster and you don't see a robot, you're going to be going, well, what's up with that? That's really primitive.
Hazardous materials,
Austin Battalion Chief Thayer Smith
swift water.
sees the potential.
We're hoping to be one of the first fire departments in the nation to do this.
He points to last year's Halloween floods as a good example of when unmanned aerial vehicles could have helped keep people safe.
If you can't get a helicopter up because of the weather, but maybe can get one of these up in the smaller areas to go look for those folks and find where they're at.
Looking back at other disasters, there are many examples of when a drone in the air beats boots on the ground.
Hold on, guys. Let's send a robot in ahead and get some video. Let's get some temperature, some thermal images to see, is it too hot? Is it too dangerous to go in?
First responders agree. The first eyes at the scene. Facing the worst danger don't always need to be human.
Better the robot than me, right?
Betty Cross, KITV News.